They said, don't fall, don't forget all the things you've been taught, you've been told, don't blink.
Hey, girlfriends.
Hey Sandy, how's it going? What you sipping on?
Well, I just moved into a new apartment, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't moved my actual glassware apartment. So, but I did move my Moscow Mule cups, etc. So this is wine, white,
Okay.
but
White wine in a Moscow Mule cup. Okay.
we make things up on Fridays.
Okay, I mess with it. I like it. Cheers to you.
Drinking.
So I am actually having red wine alongside our theme, Pinot and Flow. It's not a Pinot, but it is a cab. And I'm a part of this wine club. I went to this really dope vineyard in Napa one time. It's called Gaffey Estate, and this one's called Metamorphosis. And so I signed up for the wine club, and what I liked about them was they had an observatory where you could see the stars right there on the vineyard. So it's super dope, and I'm happy to be in their wine club. And I figure it's a special occasion talking to you, so I'll drink one of my bottles.
Here's to that. And can I just say that sounds very romantical and
Why are
observant.
you always coming for me?
I just be curious. I may want to go there with a romantic love
Oh,
interest.
it was very romantic. Yes, it's quite romantic.
I guess you're just not going to share with who. So I'll just sip.
Let's move on because we've moved on. So,
And sometimes you just have to move on, right?
right. Things are sometimes in your life for a reason, a season,
Season.
or to give you ball spots, stress. And once they're there, let that go.
Right. Remove it. No ball spots. We like our hair. Speaking of
Your hair
which,
looks fabulous.
your hair looks amazing.
Thank you.
But I was struggling for quite a few weeks and I needed my roots touched up so badly. And so I got a color refresh and a cut refresh from Juju.
I love it. Yeah, this haircut is elite.
Thank you, darling.
Well, so you know how it goes. Today we're gonna play Pinot and Flow. And just a reminder, we both come with topics. And in the way I used to do it in quarantine was it was a free writing activity, right? So we would think about our topics, each of us would pick our free writes that we wanted to write about, pick the same topic, we get a set amount of time. We're not going to write about it, we're going to talk about it, but we're going to keep that rule of we vote on the topics and we pick a set amount of time. So I want to hear which topics you brought to the table today, and then I'll tell you mine.
First of all, I love how you said when we were quarantined.
Okay, I was quarantined by myself. I was doing this virtually with someone else who was quarantined by themselves.
No. But that also just goes to highlight and share that y'all in Miami are living crazy and not quarantined.
Okay, don't come for me because I do not live crazy. Okay, Miami has gotten a bad rap, but those are all tourists on South Beach. I stay in my home with my dog and I go nowhere.
Keep it safe. We want to be here after COVID. But yes, New York is definitely still locked up, at least my New York.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
so I got some topics. How many am I supposed to share with you?
Share with me your top 5 and I'll share with you my top 5.
Top five. Okay. So I mentioned I just moved into a new place, and I know that you moved recently as well. So my first one is hitting the refresh button.
I like that one. Okay, I like that one a lot.
And then life after COVID.
Okay.
People. Life
Okay,
after
life in Miami. No, I'm just kidding.
And then just observation. I would like to hear from you or explore designer or nah when it comes to attire and how you prefer to get dressed. And then kind of as a piggyback to that, who is your favorite designer?
Okay.
All right, so I'm just going to go with 4.
Okay. So I did have 5. The ones I came up with, one we got from the audience. So shout out to Lillian. Thank you for watching. The question she wanted to hear us talk about was, what do we do for self-care as a business owner? So that one comes from her. The other 4 that I had were visibility versus doing the work, second weddings or nah, colorism, and the price of being the plug.
Oh, these are good. We're gonna have to split this up into maybe 2 episodes.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so what are your, you get to pick your top 2 first, and then I'll pick my top 2, and we can share what the 5th one is.
All right, top 2 from your list or my list?
Mm-hmm. Any of all of them. Which one? What do you want to talk about the most?
These are good. Refresh button for sure. I like that one. What is it? Visibility or doing the work?
Visibility versus doing the work.
I do like that one as well.
Okay. And go ahead. What's your 3rd choice?
Second weddings. I just want to keep it interesting.
I can't. You're so funny. Okay. All right. Mine out of yours would be definitely designer. That one. I like that. And I also I want to talk about the price of being the plug.
Okay. And also, what is your definition of being the plug, right? I feel like mine, and then also speak to it.
Okay. All right. So I've written down our topics. We are all set. So I think we can go ahead, and I will set the timer, and we're going to give 5 minutes to each topic. So we can go ahead and get started with the first one, which I'm really excited about. I want to hear more from you about what setting that refresh button has done for you. So we can kick it off with the first topic. Timer is set.
Okay. Wait, how long is the timer? Yeah, again.
5 minutes, girl. Use your time.
Okay, so hitting the refresh button. So, we are so familiar with starting new jobs, seasonally cleaning out the closet, but I just hit a major refresh button, which was moving into a new place. And I battled with it for a while, but I'll share a little bit about why this was meaningful. And you always get me to kind of open up on here, which is like, a lot for me. The last place I was in, I shared with my ex. And although I made it my own and made it very comfortable and made it mine, I felt like I needed to make this move for me and get something for me that was mine. And yes, I am dating again, and I'm very happy. But there's something about bringing someone into someone else's space. And I just felt like it was time to hit the refresh button and to really open myself up for a new chapter to come.
Wow, I love that. Our lives just are always in parallel, because I relate to that in so many ways. I stayed in the apartment that I had lived in with my ex-husband as well for quite a bit of time. And when I stayed in the apartment, I did know that I wanted to change up the atmosphere, but I was moving so much before COVID on so many flights. And I just couldn't figure out what to do in terms of arranging my new home decor, or should I buy something? What did it look like to buy a new home by myself as a single person? And I just was all over the place. So the first thing I did was I hired an interior organizer, like a home organizer who gave interior design advice as well. She's great. Her name is Anna. I think she's at Vibe is Bright on Instagram. And what was really interesting to me about that experience was, one, even though we had moved out all of my ex's stuff, there would be like these little nooks and crannies when I was getting organized where I would just see remnants of him. And it was difficult at times to be in that, and having someone else alongside me to really clean and go through every closet, every drawer in my apartment and remove those things was so meaningful, but it still didn't do enough, right? The memories were still there. No matter how much I changed pillows and changed colors or got a different chair, whatever the case might be, it was my apartment, but it still felt like there was the presence of someone else that was there. And I also realized in moving, so I moved down here with just a couple suitcases and a few boxes. I had so much attachment to stuff, and those things have been sitting in storage, and I have not thought about any of them in so long. So when I think about hitting the refresh button, I think that sometimes we don't recognize, even it's hard to be self-aware enough to know when that button needs to be hit, because I thought I was doing, just fine, just great. I loved my apartment. I loved being there with my dog, but coming to a new space has energized me in a way I could not even begin to explain. I feel so much lighter. I feel so much more closure, so much like I'm creating my own path now. And that's been really important for me. So that's what I would say about hitting the refresh button. It's key. And to your point, it is hard to bring someone, if you are dating someone new, it is hard to bring them into the space that you lived in with an ex, right? So that is gonna also be a game changer in how you feel in terms of your comfort in bringing that person into your home.
Right, exactly. And these are things that there isn't really a book around, right? No one tells you who moves out and how long before you move out, depending what the scenario is. And it's not something you can really just openly talk about either. But when you do remain in that space and you're that person to stay, you find small things like a freaking mug, right? That's like that you bought, they bought, or just little things, little memories attached. So it's just beautiful to hit refresh, even if it's a move. And also, it was very therapeutic for me because it was a purge and it allowed me to really get.
I know you hate that sound, but all it means is we have to move on to the next topic. There's so much there, though. I'm glad you got the opportunity. Your new place looks great, by the way. I'm loving this decor, the flowers.
I need some wall art. I'll be working on that this weekend.
Okay.
Paris next, we got some beautiful outdoor space.
Well, we will need a tour when it's all set up.
Absolutely.
So the next topic that you called out, because you just love to have a good, messy conversation. Second weddings. Go ahead, since you already threw out there. I'll let you kick this one off and the timer is gone.
This one is just simple. No.
You're not doing it. You're over it. You're not doing it.
It's simple. No. Okay. And I also knew for myself as I was entering the dating scene, and as I was looking at the dating pool, that I was ideally looking for someone who had also been married. Ideally previously married, and ideally with at least one child, because I need you to have responsibilities. And with that, I feel like I don't regret anything about how I did it the first time around. I love the fanfare. I was very extra about it. And I feel like I did it, I'm done. And now I want to do it in a way that's just meaningful to me personally. So what I've been saying is all I want is me, my boo, and the beaches of Bali. And that is how I want it to play out. And, I love my girlfriends. Some of y'all are like, can I zoom in? Can I drop in? No. I'll just send everyone a postcard when it's all done. But I feel like, second time around, I wanted for it to be very meaningful, very intimate, and just me, my boo, and the beaches of Bali.
That sounds beautiful. Dang, and I was just gonna say, can I zoom in? That sounds so pretty.
On a flowy dress in the waters, just us. The pastor could zoom in too, and that's it.
Okay. What? Can you at least just take some good pictures for me so I can see it?
Yes. Who knows? Once you get into that moment, we get very creative. But I think for now, hell no.
So this one is a really interesting one for me because I really enjoy going to weddings. Not everyone loves going to weddings. I do. I will say I love going to weddings when they don't have so much ceremony. I went through one wedding where by the time they even let us on the dance floor, it was about 15 minutes till it was all over. And because they had so much ceremony things, right? So that was a choice I made, for instance, when I planned mine, is I wanted very limited speeches, very limited things you have to do. We did one or two of the traditional things like toss the bouquet, dance with the parents, and that's really it. But what I love about weddings, because we're in a time now too where the pandemic has shifted how we think about gatherings and whether or not we should be spending the budget on a wedding. What I do think is so beautiful about it is there are just very few times in your life where you will see all of your family and friends in one place. So like, forget the other person's family and friends. My friends getting to meet my great grandmothers. I have two living great grandmothers. 100. One is going to be 100 in May. The other one is in her late 80s. I love my grandparents. I love my mom's siblings, and of course my brothers. And as an adult, there's very limited times in our lives where we're connecting with our family and friends in the same space. So for me, I felt so fulfilled because I had a weekend of activities. It was 3-4 days of activities, I believe. And we had bonfires together. We had drinks together. We ate together. We danced together. We did a boat together. And that was so meaningful for me that was what I wanted out of a wedding more than anything, was that connection between all the people I love. So I got that. I don't know if I need that again. I feel I'm good. I'm Gucci. I really do feel like I'm good, but I will say something else I've learned, or I'm continuing to learn as I get older, is you have to let life chart itself out, and you can't necessarily put prescriptions. I always say that all the time. There are no prescriptions. And I think that's the coach in me, right? It depends is always the answer for me, because I do believe in remaining open. And if that was something that was a huge value to someone else, I'm not dating. So if that was something that was a huge value to a person I ultimately do date, then that would be something I could think about when I cross that bridge. But I really value everything being a fluid conversation and allowing life to unfold as it should, and believing that whatever path that I'm supposed to be on, I will be on. If that's I can compromise, I can make allowances, but I do feel like I've gotten everything that I've needed out of a wedding.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I did it how I wanted to the first time around.
And that's that on that, okay?
I just love how you also said, I am not dating, meaning she is available.
Okay, slow your roll.
You're like, I am not dating.
Intentionally, okay? All choices are intentional right now. Anyway, Sandy, I can't with you. So the next topic that we had was visibility versus doing the work. So I'm gonna restart the timer. And do you want me to start this one?
Yes, you can go first.
So I really love talking about this topic because we are in the social media era where everyone thinks that what happens on social media is real life. And we also are business owners, and I think quite a bit about the importance of having to brand ourselves to get more business. So what I think, the conclusion I've come to, and what I think about most often, is you cannot have one without the other. Some people, though, will really value the visibility. And I realize at the times in my business where I've gotten the most praise and the most people reaching out to me are the times when I've had the most visibility. And sometimes I've done work that I frankly find more meaningful than any press clipping I've ever gotten. And there's no congratulations for that. but you get a brand to sponsor something you're doing on Instagram and everyone's clapping, you're killing the game. And I'm like, actually, what about this contract that I just signed that's gotten me to hire 5 more people or whatever the case might be? And I'm providing jobs and no one sees that. And I think that's a frustration of a lot of business owners as well as professionals who are doing great work, is often when you're doing great work, there's no congratulations for it. And that's where I was listening recently. I listen to Elevation Church podcasts often. And the pastor there, his name is Stephen Furtick, he had this great phrase. It was something along the lines of, where your confidence comes from determines what will sway it. So if my confidence comes from affirmation from other people, if my confidence comes from the validation that I get when people are visibly recognizing what I do, then when I don't have that affirmation, I'm not going to be confident. And my thinking is, for us as women, as business owners, as professionals, we have to be fortified in our mission and our vision for our work, and that should drive what really determines our confidence, and not the affirmation of others. However, and this will be my last thought, I want to kick it over to you. We're almost like halfway through the time. However, I would say that, you know, I say it in presentations all the time. If a tree falls in a forest and no one hears it, did it really fall? You could be doing great work, and if no one knows about the work you're doing, you're also missing out on opportunities. You're missing out on potentially amplifying the work that you're doing with other partnerships or other great opportunities that are out there for you. So you have to find that combination. Even though social media is such a poppin' thing, right? There's new platforms all the time. There's the Clubhouse, there's all of them. People can also read through those who aren't doing the work. So if you're visible and not doing the work, it does come across. But if you're doing the work and you're not being visible about it, then no one knows. So I feel like we should all be trying to strike that balance of doing great work. That's first and foremost, but then carving out some time to highlight the work that we're doing as well, so people can support us and give us more opportunities to amplify.
Right. I would agree with you. First and foremost, start with doing the work. You have to do the work. Do the work, then brag about it. And it's difficult. I struggle with it. And I'm a marketer. I am leading a marketing, branding, consulting firm, and I have a difficult time marketing and branding myself. It is the most difficult thing to do. But I think it's so important. The art of bragging, the art of talking about and sharing what we do is so important, because people aren't going to brag on your behalf. And it's marketing itself. We have to market ourselves so people know what we're doing, right? All the terms in terms of business, builds brand awareness, amplify your message. Like, we got to do that for ourselves too. And for ourselves and the work that we do that no one gets to see.
Yeah.
It's so important. And also what I would say is that we got to move the needle, because social media to me needs to be intentional. So yes, it's a very visual place. It's a place where people go to showcase pretty things. But for me, it's important to move the needle and for it to be connected back to something that is intentional and that is purposeful. When it's not, to me, I feel like we covered it though. But we got to build our own credibility, and even in terms of new opportunities, your clients and the people who are going to offer you opportunities also want to see that you're credible and you know what you're doing.
Right. You have to plug yourself. Yeah, you do. It's uncomfortable, but in my very first job, I remember talking to a marketing manager who was getting promoted, you know, more quickly than his peers. And he said, every promotion I've got, I've asked for. So when you want people to recognize you, you have to ask for that recognition. And I think it's something that's uncomfortable, but key.
Yeah, make it ask.
All right, so we have time for 2 more topics. And the last 2 that we had were The Price of Being the Plug and Designer. What was that again, Sandy? Designer versus
Designer or Nah.
Designer or Nah. Okay. Ooh, or Nah. So let's start with Designer or Nah. And I will reset the timer and I'll let you start.
All right, so Designer or Nah. So I love fashion. I love stuff. I'm such a girly girl, which is why this purge has been so kind of meaningful also, because I am that person that still has clothes from college.
Wow.
Some of it I can fit, most of it I cannot. But I think that's also the thing with designer, right? Based on the value you put on things, that is the value of attachment we also create to it. And I've been reading Essentialism, the book. And a lot of the things that we think have value, we put the value on. But anyway, so I'm Latina, right? From Honduras. And my mom growing up would always say, do not be cheap about it, right? And spend money on cheap fabric, because you can only wear it just times and you end up spending more replacing things than if you just invest a little bit more from the very beginning and you'll keep it for a long time. So I think that's the mindset that I grew up with. Although
That's brilliant.
it's actually really smart, and it's frugal to a certain degree, because you can have designer and less, or a lot of, $20 items, $50 items. So you can figure out which way you want to look at it. But anyway, I realized that I'm a high and low, but staple pieces, I like for them to be designer. And I'm just curious, because I've seen your closet. I've stop and get some deliveries. I was like, is she more designer or not?
Don't make me blush, girl. Okay, so here's, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, because if I hear one good quote, it just tends to stick with me, and I apply it to all things in life. Where your confidence comes from determine what sways it. So I'm gonna tell you a quick little story. Did you ever watch Atlanta Childish Gambino show? So he has this one episode where he gets his mom to buy him a FUBU shirt, but it's out of like the Price Mart or something. So it's undetermined whether or not it's a real FUBU shirt. And he goes into school and someone else has on almost the exact same shirt, but the placement of the logo is in a slightly different place. And they get clown crazy, where it's almost like they're gonna fight for who's wearing the real thing. Now that episode stood out to me because I had a similar experience growing up. My mom was, I won't even say frugal, because I think that has such a negative connotation. My mom was a working mother. She had 3 kids and at different points was a single mother with 3 children. And she was a young mom and an educator in the education system. And she was just determined that we would have things that we can take with us beyond her, right? So she wanted to buy property. She wanted to get life insurance policies, all of these different things to just make sure that if for some reason she's not with us, we are set up. But what that also meant was there were a lot of things that were popular, trending in the hood. I never had Nikes, okay? I didn't have the Timberlands. I didn't have the brands. I didn't have anything. She would kill me if she heard me saying this, but I have a little bit of trauma because of that, because
Not the trauma.
not the trauma, sis. I got some trauma because I was wearing Conway sneakers growing up and Payless at best, right? And I was not the cool kid. I was an awkward kid. So I had an experience where finally, I remember being in about 8th grade, I convinced my mom to let me get some Reebok sneakers, and I had gotten some hand-me-down FUBU jeans from someone and a FUBU shirt, and I came in thinking I was so fresh, and I got clowned in the bathroom by one of the other girls who was really popular because she had all the sneakers, for how corny I looked and how bad I put my look together. And that really stuck with me.
She is today.
She went to Harvard, girl, so I don't know. I'm not even...
That's an anomaly, because it usually doesn't work out that way.
Well, I think she's still popping, but I was not, and she publicly embarrassed me. And I think I held on to just that feeling. It's true. I think a lot of times when we think about designers, some of the attachment we place on these items comes from, you know, these feelings of what we didn't have and how we were seen. I like this topic. I want to go in, but I'll just wrap up this thought. Dang, time goes by so fast when you're having fun. And I think that I have now in my adulthood, having really had to evaluate my life priorities in a pandemic and as a small business owner, have come to a place where there are a couple things, especially when it comes to clothing. I am a curvy woman, and I used to be a very, very thin woman. I used to be barely 120 pounds. After my divorce, I was about 50 pounds heavier than that, right? So I put on weight, things in my body fit differently. I do need the H&M dresses I could wear when I was 110 pounds that looked great on me don't fit me the same, right? So there's an element of that. And there's an element of, if I am being honest and transparent with myself, some of that trauma of, I want to have the trendy things. I feel like I deserve it. I want to be in the in crowd. I don't want to be the one clowned. And I just always have to reconcile with myself what is really important. And as long as I can allow myself to purchase these things, as long as I am confident that that's not where my confidence comes from. I'm buying them because I like them and they're in my budget, but I'm not buying them because of the trauma. So it's like, that's the place I always strive to be.
Mm-hmm. You know what a good piggyback to that will be? And this is another topic we can dive into. There's also, levels to designer, right? There's designer everyone can see, and there's designer that only you know what the tag reads, and those who know as well. So that's also another interesting thing that I like to look into, because I like nice things for me, but they're kind of like my own little precious thing. Everyone doesn't need to see the brand and the tag.
Oh, I gotta hit you offline about that. I want to hear more. But we have to move on to our final topic, and I'm gonna let you kick this one off. The last topic that we have for today is the price of being the plug. And you had started that off with, well, what does being the plug even mean? And I'm like, Sandy, if you don't go somewhere, because you are the most pluggiest plug I've ever met in my life. So I want you to talk to me about what being the plug is, and is there a price that comes with that? I'm going to start the timer now.
Okay, so I definitely want to define what being the plug is, and I want to hear your definition because this was yours. But what I would say, actually, this brings me back to a conversation I had with a girlfriend, a childhood friend, a few months ago in December, where she called me the hub, like spoke, she called me the hub. And I know I'm a people connector, but I really connect people so I don't have to be responsible for making the connections. So I love connecting people, and I love connecting people that I love so they can also connect with each other. I am not stingy with my connections. But I feel burdened when my connections are dependent on me to provide an outlet. I do not want to be responsible for the fun. I like and really love to bring people I love together, because that also makes my job easier and also helps my introvert personality type have my own little quiet space while the people I love are being fueled together. So obviously that it's a price. The pressure, sometimes the obligations and the responsibilities that people put on you to be their outlet for fun or outlet for connection or outlet to know, I don't like it. I feel like, we are so busy. We have so many responsibilities already. I don't want an added layer of responsibility to also be the means to fun. So that is one price. Very heavy on me. And I have noticed that as I grow, as I develop, I'm also a working extrovert. And I do it because that is how I support myself. That is my, my way of creating a living for me, but it's not always just simply for fun. And I think sometimes people may misread activity, and also may want to attach themselves to things that you're doing with purpose and intention.
Wow. I mean, everything I could have said to answer this question, I really feel like you just said. I'm like, let me check the timer. Do I even need to say anything? I that resonates all with me so much. When you said, I hate being responsible for other people's fun, that for sure is the price of being perceived as that person who is connected, who enjoys going out. You know, for instance, I love a good gala. That used to be my thing pre-pandemic. Invite me to the party anytime. I love to dress up. I love to do my makeup. It's, you know, all of these things are things I enjoy, but I don't love the pressure of having to make other people happy. And that stood out to me the most about what you said. I think the other piece of it too is that, you know, we're talking about being the plug from the standpoint of being the one that's connected and in the know with opportunities or things. I also think that there's a strength that is perceived when you are the person who has it all together all the time, right? Because the plug isn't just going through life just like with their shoulders down and, you know, in the struggle. The plug is the person that has it all together, that knows everyone and is really happy all the time and always a good spirit to be around. And I felt that cost a lot, or the price of it a lot when I was in my struggle. And I will say in various points, because I've had struggles from an emotional standpoint, even prior to the pandemic, prior to the divorce, prior to some of the more public, you know, traumas that I've shared. And people expecting you to always be on when you don't want to be on, to show up looking good when you don't feel good, is a really big burden. And so that's something that I think about often as a burden that I don't necessarily want to carry. And my business, for instance, while some people feel I'm very visible, I've been really behind the scenes. Again, to that point of visibility versus doing the work, the things that I get paid for the most, no one knows about at all. And I've been really, in my opinion, behind the scenes. And what I have enjoyed about that is I don't feel the pressure that I used to feel when a lot of my work was driven from in-person speaking engagements or showing up for a brand, right? The things that I'm doing with companies that no one sees. Always shutting us down right in the nick of time. But those are the things that give me more joy because they don't require that pressure from me.
Right, I agree. My biggest engagements and the things that have definitely made a difference in my life are the most silent.
Real G's move in silence like lasagna. Well, my dear, this is how we do it. I am really glad I got to spend time with you. I could not believe that our first video, episode 1, got over 4,000 views. I'm so grateful to everyone who watched, and I'm excited to Pinot and flow and chat next time.
Yeah, I was so shocked and surprised. You know, I'm so shy, so hard to believe. Shy and very much an introvert, but
Can that be a topic for next time?
Yes, being a working extrovert.
The working extrovert, yes.
Absolutely.
Well, cheers to you. I'm drinking my cab, not Pinot, but cheers to you.
Cheers to you, and cheers to everyone else.
Have a great week.